Welcome back into Spotlight on your Thursday. So we're all trying to figure out who is going to make it to the Super Bowl, who's going to win the Super Bowl. I think all of us can agree this is the most wide open field we have had in quite some time. Super Bowl Survivor, Chris. I guess it's kind of like watching Survivor, right?
Shout out David Sampson.
What do they say when you get kicked off?
They say bye, you're gone.
No,
I don't
they
know.
say something else.
You're fired.
You're fired. I don't
No,
think that's it.
that's Trump
you are the weakest link. I don't know what they say, but we're going to play a little Super Bowl Survivor here. We have been digging through all. The tribe has spoken. Okay, that's it. That's what it is, according to producer Jack. John Breech joining us here. We're going to give you some stats. According to teams that make the Super Bowl, these things need to happen here. So let's start with a Super Bowl winner has to be, and these are true, the top 7 in scoring, defense, or offense. If that is the case, John Breech, that eliminates the Bears, the 49ers, the Steelers, the Packers, the Chargers, and the Panthers. Does that stat need to be true this season?
Well, first, Amanda, let me say you guys are both voted off the island for not knowing what they say when people are eliminated on Survivor. My goodness.
You're fired.
But, yes, look, you look at what has happened throughout NFL history. 56 out of 59 Super Bowl winners have been either top 7 offense, top 7 defense, or both. And I know this season has been absolutely unpredictable, but that does feel like a stat that's going to hold. When it's happened 56 out of 59 times, that is pretty consistent. And when you look at the teams that have not done that, so the teams that would be eliminated based on that stat, you're talking about the Bears, the 49ers, the Packers, the Chargers, the Panthers. So when you look at that group of teams, you start to think, well, those do seem like long shots to win the Super Bowl. The odds kind of bear that out because they are all long shots. And it would be a surprise if the Bears or the Packers or the Carolina Panthers went on to win the Super Bowl. So that certainly feels like a qualifier that is going to be in place this year, Amanda.
We have
That's
a few
your
more
Bears.
here. That knocked out a lot. And 1, 2, 3, that's 6 teams that
Yeah,
won.
all right.
This next one only knocks out 1. But it's a big one. It's a team that a lot of people would have picked in the preseason. A lot of people still picking. Only one of the last 25 Super Bowl champs were bottom 10 on third down defense. Breech, who does that knock out?
Well, Chris, everyone loves Josh Allen and the Bills right now. We just saw Logan Ryan put them in the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, it knocks out the Bills. I know there's been a lot of talk about Buffalo's defense possibly being their Achilles heel, and specifically their ability to stop the run. But this one looks at they cannot stop opponents on third down. They're giving up 41.4% on third down conversions to opposing offenses, which ranks in the bottom 9 in the NFL this year. So that is in that bottom 10 qualifier. And what happens is if you can't stop opponents on third down, they get a first down. They're on the field longer. Your defense wears down. It makes it harder to stop the run. Josh Allen's not on the field because your defense is on the field, not getting stopped. So it's a snowball that keeps piling up. And that is where the Bills are right now. And that is the reason they will not win the Super Bowl.
They are getting kicked off the island. So far, we've eliminated the Bears, the 49ers, the Steelers, the Packers, the Chargers, the Panthers, and now the Bills. With this next stat, John, we can kick off 2 more teams. 21 of the past 23 Super Bowl winners have a positive sack differential. 2 teams here, the Pats and the Jags.
Yep, we have to say bye-bye to New England and Jacksonville. You look at that. You have 2 young quarterbacks. You want to be able to protect them, and you also want your defense to come up with big plays, and sacks are big plays. Well, the Patriots and the Jags are 2 teams that have a negative sack differential. You look at New England, their offensive line gave up 48 sacks this year. Their defense only recorded 35 sacks. So that's a negative 13 sack differential. With the Jags, it's a little bit closer. Jacksonville's sack differential was -9, so not quite as big as New England's. But again, those are big plays that can swing the momentum of a game. When your quarterback is taking sacks and your defense isn't getting them, that makes it tough to win. And as we've seen, the ability to rush the passer, those teams that can get after the quarterback really have a good chance of winning the Super Bowl. So, yep, Jacksonville, New England, let's go ahead and mark them off.
That leaves only 2 AFC teams, the Broncos and the Texans. That's it, and we have a few more to go. I'm not surprised this next one is some kind of a kicking stat from the son of an NFL kicker. One of the past 25 Super Bowl champs ranked bottom 5% in field goal percentage. We saw a field goal cost John Harbaugh
That's why the Ravens
job.
aren't in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Field goals are huge. Tyler Loop, it could have been Mike Tomlin out of a job if that field goal goes in on Sunday night in that Ravens-Steelers game. And so field goal kickers are obviously playing a huge role in every postseason. When you talk about an unpredictable playoff year like this, the point spreads are closer. It's pointing to a lot of potentially close games that could come down to a field goal. So if you have a kicker who ranks in the bottom 5 of field goal percentage, that is not great. So this eliminates the Rams and the Eagles. But I will put a little asterisk there because the Rams do have a bottom 5 field goal percentage, but they did get rid of their kicker, Joshua Carty, back in November. They signed Harrison Mevis, who has done pretty well. He's only missed 1 field goal over the past 2 months, but it was a huge field goal in that showdown against the Seahawks a few weeks ago. And then the Eagles are the other bottom 5 team that this eliminates. Jake Elliott struggled this year, but I will give this Eagle fans a little bit of hope. Elliott struggled last year and then came on and had a great postseason. But will that happen again? Will lightning strike twice? I don't know. So for right now, that eliminates the Rams and the Eagles.
John, I'm curious. Did you talk to your dad after that missed kick?
We did text, and unfortunately, he felt like the Ravens probably should have tried to either give the ball to Derrick Henry, try and get a couple yards there. You have a rookie kicker who has never been in that type of pressure situation. The last thing you want to do is move the ball backwards, and they move the ball backwards. It's only 2 yards, but there's a huge difference between, say, a 44-yarder and a 39-yarder. So poor Tyler Loop. I hope he rebounds and has a huge season next year.
We needed the official breakdown from Jim Breech, and I'm glad we got it. Okay, let's continue here. So we're through, like, I don't know, we're down to, what, 3 teams? Here's a stat for you. Only two of the past 41 Super Bowl champs, bottom 5 in giveaways or takeaways. There's 2 teams that fall into this category, John.
Yeah, this is interesting because these are not 2 teams you would think of when you talk about takeaways. The Denver Broncos ranked in the bottom 5 of total takeaways this season. They only had 14. We always talk about how strong the Broncos defense was this year and that it was really one of the best units in the NFL. But what they didn't do was force turnovers. So they ranked in the bottom 5. And the NFC team that eliminates is the Seattle Seahawks. This team, yes, these are the 2 number 1 overall seeds we're talking about here. The Seahawks turned the ball over 28 times this season. That was the 2nd highest number in the NFL. Only the Vikings had more at 30, and a big part of that was Sam Darnold. He turned the ball over 20 times, 14 interceptions. He lost 6 fumbles. And I'll throw another stat in there. Over the past 30 years, there have only been 3 instances where a team won the Super Bowl when their QB turned the ball over at least 20 times. 2 of those were Eli Manning beating the Patriots. So I'm not sure the Seahawks have that type of miracle run, but if you are turning the ball over, it's tough to win in the playoffs, and if you can't force turnovers, it's tough to win in the playoffs. So that is why the Broncos and Seahawks are out here.
And that leaves one, a team that values the ball, that has a good kicker, that gets after the quarterback and protects their quarterback, that's good on 3rd down defense, that's top 7 on one side of the ball in scoring. That would be defense, and that would be, Breech, the Houston
Texans. What? Amanda's from Texas. She's probably loving this. Shout out to our research department for coming up with many of these qualifiers. Doug Clausen did awesome. This is the Houston Texans, the last team standing here. I think that it's a little bit of a surprise, but you look at what they have. It's not just that they have a top 7 defense. They have an experienced quarterback who has that playoff experience. They have Kaimi Fairbairn. They have a reliable kicker. The defense does force turnovers. The defense gets sacks. And so when you look at the all around the roster from top to bottom, the Texans really do look kind of a smart bet to win it all. We're looking at how strong their defense. Look, I didn't come up with the saying that defense wins championships, but this seems like the year where it could come into play. A dominant defense could certainly carry a team, and the Texans are just good enough on offense that the defense doesn't have to do everything. Nico Collins is a top-tier receiver. C.J. Stroud, if he looks good in the postseason, it's going to hinge on how he plays. But if he plays well, there is no reason the Texans can't make a Super Bowl run.
I feel like a lot of people don't have money on the Texans right now.
I haven't heard anybody pick the Texans lately.
Yeah, that's true. John Breech, we appreciate your time and walking us through that. We'll see if the Texans do, in fact, make and win the Super Bowl according to the stats that we provided. We appreciate your time. Okay,
Ryan
so there was
Wilson
person
has the Houston Texans not only winning the AFC,
but beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Ryan, why are you so high on this Texans team?
Perhaps it's telling, Hassel, that my name was at the bottom of that list, and that's how producer Noah thought of my take here with the Houston Texans. Look, man, let's get crazy. Not everybody can just sit there and pick the Ravens because that's the layup choice to make, or even the Buffalo Bills or Kansas City Chiefs. I get that. I'm trying to think a little bit outside the box, trying to zig when everyone else is zagging, and reading between the lines, throw out a couple more cliches. Here's the thing. We sort of came down on C.J. Stroud a year ago because that team didn't play nearly as well offensively. A lot of that had to do with the offensive line struggling through injuries. They moved on from their offensive coordinator. Oh, by the way, that team still won 10 games and won a playoff game in both years that C.J. Stroud has been in the league. And I think they're going to build on that. And you might say the offensive line still has some concerns, and I would say yes, they do. If they can overcome those concerns, get something out of their second-round pick, Arante Ursery, who's going to likely be the starting right tackle, I think C.J. Stroud is poised to improve on what he did in 2023. D'Amico Ryans and that coaching staff is one of the best coaching staffs in the league. This defense is going to be absolutely lights out. And even if things aren't clicking offensively early on, I think the defense can carry you a long way. And another crazy idea I had there, Chris, is I think Will Anderson Jr. has a chance to be Defensive Player of the Year. And if he plays like that and that offense gets to where I think it can be, they can certainly make a deep run. Is it crazy to say they're a Super Bowl team? Perhaps. But again, we're in early September. Anything can happen.
September 4th, 2025. Ryan Wilson, you looked like you had just gotten back from vacation.
I was more tan back then. Ryan, they started 0-3, though. I mean, did you stick with them when they were 0-3?
Hey, guys, good to see you. I'm going to gloat for just a few moments because I'll be honest with you. I had forgotten about what I said on September 4th, so shout out to producer Jack for taking me back. And thankfully, I said a lot of the things that worked out. That offense obviously has been average, for being honest, for much of the season, but the defense has been somehow better than advertised. Will Anderson Jr. has every right to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, as should Danielle Hunter, excuse me, as should Kamari Ramsey, as should Derek Stingley Jr. The coaching staff still remains fantastic. They have drafted so incredibly well. All those young players are helping out. Now, look, they're going to Pittsburgh, and I'll be honest, as a Steelers homer, I made the sentimental pick and said the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin get this win. But the reality is that this team has a very good chance to go on the road and make a run through the playoffs as a road team for the reasons we're talking about here. So this was a very pleasant 2026 surprise for me. I had forgotten about September 4th, but blind squirrel, if we have a blind squirrel graphic, this would be the time to play it.
Does it really count, though, if he totally forgot about it and he's picking against them in the first round?
I think it still counts. I think it still counts, Ryan. What do you say?
I don't know. He's not standing by it.
Yeah, hey, listen, Hassel, give me one win here, okay? I know your Bears are suddenly crushing it. Let me have this because I have very little else.
Hey,
Ryan.
It's a great call because, I mean, so many other people were picking the Chiefs, not in the playoffs. Yeah. Ravens, not in the playoffs. Lions, not in the playoffs.
BJ had what?
Bucks, not in the playoffs.
Commanders?
Commanders, not in the playoffs. All right, you know what? Ryan will give it to you if it happens, which it probably won't, but we'll see. Ryan on With the First Pick. The podcast that gets you ready for the NFL draft. And now we know more than half the draft order, the 18 teams that did not make the playoffs, the order is set, and those guys can really start to dig in.